Okay, hello and welcome to the Crow Show. In this clip, I'm going to present the new hologram evidence, which I'm now calling the lunar wave. I'm going to show you two of the four we've filmed, the first and the last one, because they're the easiest to see. The two middle ones are very quick and difficult to see. I'm still working on a way to present those. At any rate, within this clip, I am also going to demonstrate that we've been lied to about the moon, and we have every reason to believe that the evidence I'm presenting here is showing some sort of technology that is covering the lunar surface. Have you ever noticed that when you hear or read something, you can detect the ring of truth? It sounds like this. Have you ever noticed when the ring of truth is faked, you can hear that too? It sounds like this. The following information is in my words, as it is against the law to reprint the Apollo mission in-flight transcript. Not kidding. Why the threat of copyright violation? During the Apollo mission in 1969, Ron Evans at Mission Control tells Mike Collins, an astronaut on the Apollo mission, that one of the large headlines concerning the astronauts is one asking them to watch out for a beautiful girl with a large rabbit. This is referencing an ancient legend that says a Chinese girl named Chang O has been living on the moon for 4,000 years, having been banished from Earth for stealing the pill of immortality. He also advises Collins to watch for a large Chinese rabbit who is easy to find, as he is always standing on his back feet in the shade of a cinnamon tree. The name of the rabbit is not given. Collins replies that he will keep a close eye out for the bunny girl. Fast forward to December 14, 2013, a Chinese rover, third in a series, lands on the moon at Mare Imbrium with the name U2, the rabbit Collins was advised to watch for back in 1969, now named. The name of the mission is Chang'e, or Change in English, echoing back to 1969 and the girl's name from the ancient Chinese myth. You may be familiar with the term Jade Rabbit, the name the media used to reference the first Chinese moon landing. Okay, so I brought up this previous information for the simple reason of credibility. On this channel, I make a pledge that I will never run deceptive clips, and I've never broken that pledge, because I will not sacrifice my credibility for a successful clip or whatever the reason may be for people to fake clips. In the examples of the Apollo mission and the Jade Rabbit, what you're seeing is an association made over many, many years, even decades. And the things that are important, like the myth of the Jade Rabbit, the bit about immortality pills, and 4,000 years this being has been on the moon, those are probably the important bits. But I would point out that in my eyes, both these missions are a fraud. Now, the purpose of this clip I'm running is not to demonstrate why the NASA mission Apollo and the Chinese Jade Rabbit are frauds, but I will leave you with this. Once, look at it from this point of view. In court, if you're caught in a lie, you lose your credibility. And after you've done that, everything you say is suspect. That's a good rule of thumb for people to use. And I would further point out that in the 60s we were told that we traveled 250,000 miles and put human beings on the moon. And since then, we can only get to low Earth orbit. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. There's plenty of material that you can look about Apollo or the Jade Rabbit or any of these things. But I would point out to you that the ring of truth is not there. It just is not there. And having said that, the associations that are constantly made, where one thing is a lie and then it's associated by another thing we're being presented with, that shouldn't be trusted either. But moving on here, we're going to talk about the moon. It's not what you think it is, and I'm going to show you evidence that kind of underscores this assertion. Okay, now on to the new evidence that shows our moon is surrounded by technology. What it is can be debated, but I will no longer debate whether or not this is a real event. We've filmed it 4 times now with as many reports from witnesses around the world. What you are seeing here will be referenced at some point in the future when this lie is undone. All right, you're about to see the first wave filmed on September 26, 2012 at 8:22 p.m. This was 4 days after the fall equinox. There's two waves headed upward. There's a UFO shadow, as I've covered before, and the wave goes out of frame. Here it comes. Wave starts. Wave goes out of frame. That means that this is a filmed event, period. That's what it means. It went out of frame, and then it caught up to the camera. So whatever it is we're seeing here, whatever this technology is, it's a filmed event. Now coming up here is going to be the last wave, the fourth wave that we've filmed. It was filmed on March 14th, 2014 at 9:33 p.m., 6 days before the spring equinox. The two waves traveled downwards. We saw a ton of UFO shadows. We filmed 3 lunar UFOs, which many of you have probably seen. They're the last 3 clips up. And this is a fast and clearer wave. Here it comes. It's going to come from the top down right about now. There goes the first one. And there goes the second one. Alright, so as I broke this down before, I kind of made a mistake. I was trying to do it to the axial tilt, and I should have been saying from my point of view. The wave of the first hologram is tilted 3.2 or 3 degrees from my point of view. Alright, on the second wave, there's a 9-degree tilt from my point of view, but we need to keep in mind that this image has field rotation roughly 72 degrees different from the first image I just showed you. Now I'm going to run them side by side here. That's going to go really quick. Here they come. The waves start on both sides. They meet up in the middle, and here in the second wave they meet up close to the middle again, even though the one on the right is quicker. Now here I run a filter, and it's the same thing side by side. In the following clip I'm going to de-rotate the image on the right so that it's more closely aligned with what the image on the left looks like. And you can see there that even though they're roughly oriented in the same way, the wave's coming from a different direction. Okay, so not only do we know that NASA has lied to us many times and killed their credibility, we know the moon is not what we have been told by examining movies. Many of us now know that movies encode a lot about the world that's not spoken about openly. And we're going to cover Stanley Kubrick, who filmed the fake Apollo landings here. Okay, so Kubrick warmed up for this filming when he made 2001 Space Odyssey. That's how he got the technology in place to fake the NASA missions. He later made a movie called The Shining, which was a Stephen King book, and everywhere the script deviates from the Stephen King storyline, just about everywhere, he's referencing the faked Apollo mission. Alright, in this image in the upper left, we see Danny in The Shining sitting on a carpet. If you look below, that is the same pattern as the launch pad at Cape Canaveral. Up at right, you see Danny wearing the Apollo 11 shirt, and down in the lower right, you now see the infamous Room 237. There's a movie made about this. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that it's really good, and he goes thoroughly through The Shining and points out what Kubrick was doing. We should keep in mind, Kubrick was known to have an IQ of over 200, and he personally set shots up himself, taking hours and hours and driving his crew mad. Alright, now this is a very telling one. The big image here with the circled Tang canister by itself is from a 1960s TV commercial, and you can see how the shadow is only leaving the A and G to be seen. Now, the inset there with Scatman Crothers, you can see the Tang. This is from the movie The Shining, and you can see the Tang cans carefully placed so that they mimic the 1960s Tang commercial for Apollo missions. Alright, next up is The Truman Show. In The Truman Show, the whole premise of the movie is there's a guy named Christoph controlling Truman's life, which could also be read as True Man. He has a fake moon that he has a control room in, and he sits up there and he controls every facet of Truman's life. And in this next image, you just see various shots of the control room and Christoph standing behind the fake moon shot. This is a good movie to watch. There's a lot in it about how society is controlled, and more importantly, how there's a fake moon up there in the sky with people sitting in it controlling things. And lastly, I'm going to close out with a reference that everyone's familiar with from Star Wars. It's when they first see the Death Star. Luke says, "Look at him, he's headed for that small moon." Obi-Wan says, "That's no moon, it's a space station." Han Solo says, "It's too big to be a space station." Then Luke says, "I have a bad feeling about this." When you first see the movie, you can tell that they're implying that it's a moon or our moon, and a lot of people think this way. At any rate, I've provided quite a bit for you to go on here. If you don't believe the Apollo missions were faked, you should take the time to go through some of the things I've pointed out here and make a conclusion. There's a lot of evidence out there that shows that it was faked, and with these hologram clips or waves that I'm filming, there's good reason to believe that this filmed event that I have proved is a filmed event is technology, and it's apparently covering up our moon.